Stephen Carter here. Welcome to the Coronavirus Holistic Self-Care Strategies for Wellbeing plus Distant Healing. This webinar is brought to you by the Baltimore and Columbia Energy Healers Meetup Group. You'll find details about our group at meetup.com/healers. We have going on 1,800 members, 1,750, some 60 members. So we have members from all over, and we will be doing more of these webinars. So it really doesn't matter where you are in the world. I welcome you to join our group. The content shared during this webinar is provided for informational purposes only. The information, methods, techniques, ideas, and suggestions shared during this webinar are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any medical, psychological, or emotional condition, or to provide medical advice. If you choose to act on any of the information or apply any method or methods or suggestions discussed during this webinar, you agree to take full, complete, and sole responsibility for your own well-being. Please consult with appropriate licensed medical practitioners for any issues or issues of concern. Reverend AdaRA Walton will share ways of keeping yourself and loved ones safe from a naturopathic point of view. I'll be sharing some energy psychology, stress releasing techniques. I'll offer some suggestions for incorporating meditation into your schedule if you're not doing so already. And we'll talk about emotional support and some suggestions to get us through this situation with the virus. And rest assured, we will get through this. I think the worst probably is ahead. However, no storm, as Lao Tzu tells us, no storm lasts forever, and this one will also work its way through. And that's just life. That's just the way it happens. It's a very challenging situation, but with support, and I do hope that you'll reach out to your family members, to friends, to stay connected, because emotional support matters. It matters for them and it matters for you. So please stay connected to your family and to your friends. There's an array of different techniques or systems you can use. And we're using one right now with Zoom, but there's a ton of other ones as well. So, and of course, there's the phone. And I also would suggest, rather than text, actually pick up the phone and call. Texting seems to be the way that much of our communication goes these days. But I think in this situation, I would encourage you to let your voice speak, to really talk to friends, family members, stay connected, because that really does matter from a stress management or mastery point of view. Our main presenter this evening is Reverend Dr. AdaRA Walton. She is an ordained Reverend. She is a doctor of naturopathy. She's a bioenergy kinesiologist, a medium, a certified attractor field technique practitioner. She is certified as a trauma tapping technique practitioner. She holds multiple Reiki masterships and teaching certifications. She is a shaman. She's got more than 40 years experience in energy medicine and the healing field. In addition, Reverend AdaRA holds a Ph.D. in natural health and is certified as an energy healer for animals. She's a former quantum touch instructor. She and I used to teach together for that quantum touch organization, and both of us have moved on to other things, but it was just an absolute honor and pleasure to work with her for a number of years in training hundreds of people with quantum touch. Reverend Walton is the author of Everybody's Truth, Muscle Testing for the Masses, and her website is spiritismylife.com, and that is very, very aptly named. So with that, I'm going to turn the floor over to Reverend AdaRA.
First of all, I'd also want to thank Steve for that very, very kind introduction. I was just as honored to teach with him the years that I was with him teaching quantum touch, because he's a class act. Let me just say that, okay? So thank you, and I also thirdly want to thank him again for even asking me to do the program. So without further ado, I'm going to just go ahead and jump in. As most people know me, I always have a lot to say, so I have to be a little bit more concise this evening. The first area I'm going to address basically are around your supplements, vitamins, minerals, some things that we can do. But I'm going to start with a caveat first, which is I use what's called a kindness approach towards self-care, and that's your own self-care, and then with compassion towards yourself and then toward others. Because what you have to hold for yourself, if you don't have it for yourself, you're not really going to be able to allow it to flow to others. So I want you to look at that, what I call the kindness approach. So in looking at that, what are the simple, easy things that we can all do that may improve our health and may strengthen our immune systems? One of the first ones, and some of the things I'm going to say, I know you may have heard. It doesn't matter. I would like to stress those. I like to reiterate those. The first is you've been told to get out in the sun. Now, for me, that's easy because in Santa Fe, we call it sunny Santa Fe. However, if you stay here long enough, we have a saying about in 5 minutes, the weather can change, and that's also true. But the point being to get the sun. Viruses, and this one is no different. They do not like heat. They do not like sunlight. And if you stay out in the sun, and we're not saying an inordinate amount of time, but allowing that to feed you and allowing that to lighten you up, you will feel lighter being out in the sun. There's something inherent in our bodies when we make the connection to the sun. So that's the first thing. The second, in terms of using supplements, I am going to emphasize certain of them. The first thing I would like to say is I hope or trust you are using what I would call a very good or an excellent, or you may even consider optimal, multivitamin, multimineral. Why do I say that? I am going to stress certain vitamins and recommended amounts here. But what I want to say is I have not seen until today one article talking about over supplementation in excess. So what I'm recommending and going to give you tonight rather, these amounts, this is if you are not taking any vitamins or any minerals. If you have a vitamin mineral supplement, I would ask you, take into consideration the amounts that I'm going to recommend and look on your bottle. If these amounts are in your bottle, you do not need to what I call extra supplement, over supplement. Don't do this in excess because that you can hurt yourself and that's a dangerous thing to do. This is for those of you who are not taking anything or very minimally and you're wondering what you can still take. Most of the recommendations I've seen, considering the coronavirus, I am in line with. Some of them I am not, because some of them are in excess of what I would deal with my clients. The other thing I would like to say before I give these recommended amounts, these are recommended by most what I call your naturopaths, even some of your allopathic mainstream doctors. I, however, as an energy kinesiologist, I am trained to individually check you for supplements. So although I make these recommendations, if you were my client, whether you're remote or you came here physically, I would actually be checking you individually. Why? Our bodies are uniquely different. So with that being said, these are what I would recommend. I am first going to start with the one everybody has overwhelmingly heard or read about, which is vitamin C. Now, I also am going to say with vitamin C, and even the amounts that I'm going to recognize that that we can use, if you have access to ascorbic acid, that is the cheapest form and the most available. It is also flying off the shelf. However, if you are like me and I cannot use a certain amount of, once I get to 500 milligrams of ascorbic acid, my body will start to go into diarrhea. And I'm just being very honest. So I don't know how many of you can use ascorbic acid, but if you can't, there are some other forms of vitamin C that your body absorbs pretty well. One is called ester C, but that's not named. My brother is here, so I have to say it's not spelled like our mother's name was. Ester C is ESTER. The second form is a buffered, what we call buffered vitamin C. And the third form, which is the most expensive, is the liposomal vitamin C. But these three forms are easily absorbed by the body if you can't handle regular ascorbic acid. The other thing you can also try is, if you do want to use ascorbic acid, use a reduced acidity. I have tried both, and I find that I can use a reduced acidity form of ascorbic acid, but I still prefer some of the other three. With vitamin C, again, the amount that's recommended right now is 1,000 to 3,000 milligrams daily. If you eat 3 meals, I would ask you, because the body utilizes vitamin C in divided doses better. So if you eat 3 meals, you would take 1,000 milligrams at the end, of the meal or with the meal. If you only eat 2 meals, use 1,500 milligrams at each meal. I would not advise trying to take all 3,000, at one time, at one meal. I really wouldn't. And what matters, again, it's how much vitamin C you take and not the form. Now, I will say this because I don't want to question. If you can tolerate more and if you're up to more grams, then by all means, you stay with what you are on. In other words, if your recommended amounts and your body is handling more than 3,000 milligrams a day, then that's fine. Moving on, I want to because I do have a lot to cover. As I said, I always have a lot to say. Vitamin D, and specifically vitamin D3. And most women know vitamin D3 is really, really good for breast health. In addition, there are some categories of people, African Americans being one, our bodies, we require a higher amount than other categories of people. So again, this is the recommended amount, 1,000 to 2,000 IUs, international units, again, and then this is per day. I do recommend that even if you start this, if you are because I am at a much higher level, again, because of my age and my personal needs, if you are at a higher level of vitamin D, and specifically D3, don't drop back. If those have been prescribed by your physician, with underlying all of this is if your amounts are higher because they were prescribed by your physician based on a blood or lab test, you have to stay with what your doctors have recommended for you. But for vitamin D and D3, it's the 1,000 to 2,000 IUs daily, unless, again, you're at a higher level. You may wonder why I didn't say, and I'm not going to go into, you need to have selenium if you do 100 micrograms. Why didn't she mention vitamin DK? We're not trying to get in depth. I'm trying to cover at a minimum what you actually need for this particular virus. So moving on, there are some minerals I'd like to mention. Zinc is one. Now, zinc I'm going to recommend to you in particular forms. The amount is 10 to 20 milligrams, and I have seen recommendations much higher. Again, With me, you're going to get what you really need from me. But that 10 to 20 milligrams. Now the form, you want to buy zinc picolinate, you want to buy zinc glycinate or gluconate or chelate. What you do not want to do, because you will just waste your money, you're throwing it away if you buy zinc oxide. That is the cheapest form, and your body really doesn't make that good use of it. So do not buy zinc oxide. You do better with the picolinate, glucinate, chelate, or glycinate. Now, we also have found in Western society, most of us have, not me, because I've corrected it again based on my lab and blood tests, but we run a deficiency of magnesium. The recommended amount for magnesium now is 400 milligrams. A lot of you are probably above that. And again, like with the zinc, do not buy magnesium oxide. Again, it's cheap, really, really cheap. But unlike the cheap form of vitamin C, the ascorbic acid, magnesium oxide does not work really well for you all either. So what I would recommend, again, magnesium would be magnesium citrate, or some people say citrate. I don't care how you pronounce it. Magnesium glycinate. And again, if you're trying to address brain issues and really be healthy, there is also, and this is one that I use, it's magnesium L-threonate. And that's because it's correcting some other pathways for cognitive and memory and recognition and that kind of thing. So there are other forms, but again, don't buy magnesium oxide, don't buy zinc oxide. Moving on, because I want to talk about some other things. You may say, boy, she didn't mention a whole lot of minerals there, but again, this is trying to do baseline and help you if there are things you are not taking at all. Again, I'm going to stress, you look at, if you're taking a vitamin mineral supplement, please look in at your bottle and see what's recommended, because I don't want you taking these amounts on top of what you already have. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about water. Water is flying off the shelves, or it's already gone at this point and probably in a lot of your stores. However, I do have to stress, you have to stay hydrated, because if you're not hydrated, you're not asking just to depress your immune system. You're going to depress all the other systems in your body if you're not hydrated, and you're asking for other kind of what I call dis-eases or illnesses to occur in your body. So drinking water is very important. Do not drink tap water. And folks, if you need distilled water, for your irons, for your CPAP machines, for your steamers, don't think that you can run your tap water and then just boil the water. No, what you're intensifying are the chemicals and the toxins that are already in the water. So above all, don't try to distill. You either have to buy it distilled or leave that alone. And that's for those kinds of things. Now, in looking at water, what can you do? If you do have access and you can buy what I call the really inexpensive pitchers, and at least they do filtrate your water, you will get a cleaner water than using tap, then you can buy what's called a zero water pitcher. You've seen those at the zero water pitchers are in Walmart, they're in Walgreens, they're in a lot of stores, and you can certainly get it off of Amazon. I'm not any particular store. What I'm looking at is how to get clean water at this point. You can also buy a pure pitcher, which you've seen, PUR. Now, water has been a controversy for years and years. So now you have a new what's called TuraPure, TURAPUR. That's a pitcher that now makes hydrogen water, because now the argument is hydrogen water is better than alkaline water, is better than filtrated water. It doesn't matter. You want to get clean water, and that's what you want to do. Basically, these all take cartridges. So cartridges cost money. So you're still going to have to buy cartridges at some point to replace in whatever pitcher that you're using. Now, moving up, if you can, or if you have access it's called the Big Berkey, the Berkey water system. There's a Royal Berkey, a Crown Berkey, what's called the Big Berkey. I can tell you, checking this week, even just for this presentation, almost all the Berkeys are gone, with the exception of 2 days ago, they did have what they call the Travel Berkey. That's really designed for one person, but it doesn't matter. If you can spend a little more, you can make more water for it. One person, the one person size is the Travel, but for families of 2 or more, you want to use another one. Now, if you don't have access to the Berkey system, what I'm going to say, some of you on this call probably do own the more expensive machines. Those are the alkaline machines. Those are the hydrogen machines. However, for the most part, middle-class families, low income, you can't afford those machines. They're just very costly, and there's still arguments about how well those machines, produce water. They do work very well. Don't think you have to have one. Again, you can get a simple water picture. The point is, I want you to drink good, clean water. With that being said, don't put ice in your water, in your drinks. Why? Again, viruses don't like the warmth. They don't like the heat. And so you don't want to make your water colder. Also, cold water really does, it can upset and has an impact on your body when you drink very, very cold water. And some of you probably have heard that before. Now, so what I would like you to do is drink your water, drink clean water at room temperature. So I do want to say one other thing about water. You can add a pinch. And when I say a pinch, that just means, with 2 or 3 fingers, you can add a pinch of sea salt or Himalayan salt. Himalayan, of course, costs more. And I always go to the less expensive end, but you can put a pinch of sea salt in your clean water to keep your body mineralized. That's what that will do. And a lot of people will make their own water, and I didn't neglect that. But yes, if you have a jug in your supermarket, wherever you go, still has water, then you can take your jugs and you can get, water out of those machines as well. But when you get them home, you can still add sea salt to your water, because that does help mineralize your body. I want to touch very gently before I go to my next category on just 2 other things. If your stress levels are high, and they are running a lot higher right now with people's panic, with people's anxiety, with people's depression, with people's, the escalating emotions. If your stress levels are running high, you're making a lot more of that stress hormone called cortisol. You do not want to do that. However, if you can't seem to help yourself and your body's giving you these signals that you need to do something, you can get what we call cortisol reducing supplements. Almost every good major vitamin company or vitamin mineral company, your brand companies will have something, and just look for the word cortisol, C-O-R-T-I-S-O-L, cortisol, because what you want to reduce that hormone that you're making in that pathway, so that you're not as stressed as you're making your body. So the point is also with trying to keep as strong immune system is to keep your stress levels low. We'll come to that a little bit later. Also, what will help is what I call the mindfulness exercises, moving meditation. So if you have a good yoga practice and that works for you, continue to do it. If you don't, you really may want to consider Tai Chi. You may want to consider Qigong. If you can find a free class, something online, by all means, do it. Do it on a daily basis, or at least every other day. You'd be surprised at how well that manages your stress level and keeps your cortisol, that hormone, from producing in your body. Now, I have one other item, and I'm going to have to stand. I know No, I don't think I'll stand up. I should be able to do this from here. I have, again, as an energy kinesiologist, I have a ton of exercises, as Steve knows, for stress reduction. But this one I'm going to show, and I want to demonstrate this now because it's not on the handout. And I need to say right now, the recommendations I gave you on the vitamins and the minerals, not the water, but the vitamins and the minerals and the recommended amounts, they are on a handout. The next section I'm going to give you also is on a handout. What I'm getting ready to show you is not. So I did want to have something interactive before I leave this section. This is an energy exercise and what are called your spleen neurolymphatic points. They are on, neurolymphatics are always on the body. The spleen neurolymphatic points are very important. Why? We build up waste, we build up debris in the body right around these points. Now, for you men, I know you don't wear a bra, and for you women, you do, but some of us don't wear bras. My point being, where your bra strap is, right here, the bra straps, when you're taking off a bra, right here, right at the very top, I want everyone with your fingers up, and you can do this where you are, fingers up, palms up. If you were to detach your arm, I'll use another example. If you were to detach your arm and have to sew it back on to your body, you see where it would be. That's the point you want to be at. These are spleen neurolymphatic points. Why do I emphasize this? Because the spleen points have everything to do with your immune system and it impacts it. So if you put your hands on these points, your fingers, if they feel soft, if they feel tender, if it feels what I call yucky, you need to tap or massage these points. And you only do this for 30 seconds to about a minute. This will impact your immune system. It allows it to dump the toxins out of your system. That's one set of points. The other set, if you drop down, ladies, where your bra is, but right again, you're still in line. The other set of points is below the breast, but right still on the side. It's below the armpit. Few inches, the same thing. You're gonna find, and you take your fingers so that they're curled under, your palms are still up, and just feel around underneath. If it feels sore or tender, you need to massage again those points. I don't care if you massage, I don't care if you tap. What you're doing is you're allowing those neurolymphatic points to dump the waste and the debris in the body, thereby keeping your immune system strong. So I am going to leave that section, and I want to move on to the next that I want to talk about, and this is also on your handout. Now, there's been a lot said about hand sanitizers and how you can make them. So I'm going to give you a very simple formula, and this is also on your handout. But today, also this morning, I read an article, hand sanitizers don't work. That is just an absolute lie. It depends on what you're putting in it, okay, and how effective it's going to be. What are we trying to do here? We're trying to reduce the curve of infection. Therefore, these suggestions may help you, and I will tell you one thing, it will save you some money. You may have to put out a little bit initially with what I say, but in the long run, you'll see how it's going to save you money. The first thing is we have been talking about soap and water, use soap and water. At this point, folks, people are over washing their hands, okay? Don't wash your hands to the point that is so excessive that you're getting scratches, open abrasions on your hands, because what are you doing? Now you're opening up any dust, any dirt, if you do any gardening because you're trying to go out and be in the sun, but any dirt, dust, debris that gets on your hands, if you're overwashing and you're cutting and you're scarring your hands, for instance, that dirt, dust, and debris is going to get in, and then you're going to allow the germs to get in. So just don't overwash. Yes, wash your hands a lot. You've heard wash your hands to the happy birthday song. I just tell people wash your hands for about 20 seconds, and yes, keep them out of your face. So I want to stop with that as far as the soap and water. That's number one, but don't be so excessive to the point that you are cutting up your hands, okay? The second is about how to make a hand sanitizer. You can make your own, and you really only need 3 items. And I'm going to give a caveat. Where I used to live in Maryland, like where Steve is, it's hot and it's humid there. Where I am now is dry and arid, out here in Santa Fe. You still need 3 items, and you can use an additional one, which I will add on because for people listening in my area, because they may want to use that. But I'm going to start the basic 3. The first is you need alcohol, distilled water, and essential oils. Now, these are not street cut oils. I have listed in the handout, it's not exhaustive, but I have given you about 9 different companies you can purchase good, effective essential oils. Now, what are the essential oils that I use in my hand sanitizer? I also make my own face wash. I didn't put that one on here. It's the hand sanitizer because that's what we're addressing here. First of all, excuse me, if you have dry skin or you live in a climate where I do, you may add aloe vera. But folks, I have seen the aloe vera flying off the shelves. Aloe vera is not a replacement for the alcohol. The isopropyl and the ethyl alcohol has disappeared because it does kill germs. However, aloe vera is not doing that. It's more for the moisturizing, and it does have some really good effects. However, if you get down to just distilled water and alcohol, and that's the best you can do for your sanitizer, so be it. The reason I add the essential oils are, if you add the essential oils, you're getting the oils I'm going to recommend are antiviral, antimicrobial, and a couple are even antifungal, but you all get them in one oil. So let's go back to the alcohol, since it is flown off the shelves. What most people don't know, and some of you have read the article, I can't remember if it's LA Times or New York Times, where someone was trying to make their hand sanitizer and they were using vodka. Vodka, folks, does not contain the percentage of alcohol needed to kill the germs from this virus, much less any other virus. You must have, and I'm going to smile on this because I think of my relatives where they were from down south, where they were making moonshine and what's called white lightning. What am I specifically talking about? It's called grain alcohol. There is a brand called Everclear. However, if that starts to disappear, this is what you need to know. You need 190 proof alcohol to kill the germs. Not 90 proof, 190 proof. Now, I've had people call me and I've had someone ask, well, can't I go to the liquor store, good store and buy 151? No, you can't. 151 only contains what the equivalent of what is 75% alcohol. You need 90% or more alcohol to kill germs. So you need 190 proof grain alcohol, or an alcohol that's simply 190 proof. So now here's the next thing. If the distilled water is gone, why do you use distilled water? As some people say, that's dead water. There's nothing in it. Precisely. And so the oils can actually better mix with the distilled water and the alcohol. And you want clean, pure water. But folks, if you can't get distilled water, try to get purified water as the next standard. If you can't get purified water, because that's off your shelves, just use and I'm going to say this now early on, pray over your filtrated water and use it in this formula. Okay, so those are the 3 things. You need the alcohol, you need the distilled water, you need essential oils. If you live in a dry climate like mine, this is where you will use the aloe vera gel, but that's in addition, okay? Now, how do you want your hands to smell? This has to do with what oils you use. Lemon essential oil. Lemon is also antiviral. And so most people don't mind their hands smelling, you know, like lemon. And especially when I get to the next thing about the surface cleaners, you want your hands to smell good. You want your countertops and things to also smell good. Lemon essential oil is excellent. The second one would be lavender oil, and that's because of the properties of lavender. I also add melaleuca, also known as tea tree oil. How much do you need? More is not better, okay? You need anywhere, this is of the essential oils, you need 10, I'd say 8 to 10 drops. So how do I use the oils? In a 1 ounce or 2 ounce dropper bottle or spray bottle, you layer your oils in first. So I will use 2 to 3 drops of melaleuca, the tea tree, and then I will add the aloe vera. Only 1/4 of that bottle would be aloe vera gel on top of the oils. 2/3 of your bottle, folks, must be the alcohol, the grain alcohol, the isopropyl, the ethyl, whatever it is. 2/3 of your bottle, and I don't care if that's a 1 ounce or a 2 ounce, or if you're making a larger amount, 8 ounces, the majority of that bottle really needs to be filled with your alcohol. And then you can top it off with the distilled water, okay? And so that's what you do, shake it up. And I advise people shake it up each time you use it, but that's how you want to do it. And again, this little recipe and this formula is on your handout. I want to move on to the surface and the floor cleanser now. And I have other essential oils, and specifically 3 oils that I would use for my surface and a floor cleanser. Now, what do you use here? Now, most people are not going to use distilled water or really to do their floor cleanser, so, or even their surfaces, but I still recommend using the distilled water with their 3 essential oils, again, that I'm going to mention here. The addition is white vinegar, okay? This is for your surface cleanser. This is for your disinfectant. Why these 3 specific oils? Eucalyptus, tea tree again, and thyme. These 3 oils are all antibacterial, antifungal, and antiviral. So if you're going to make a, let's say a surface wash, you want to clean your counters and countertops and refrigerators and things. What you do is you get your bowl, your bucket, whatever you're going to do. You need 15 drops, okay? 15 of tea tree. And I use 20 drops of eucalyptus, 20 drops of thyme. Now, if you want your lemony smell, I would simply cut the eucalyptus and thyme back, and I would add some lemon essential oil. So you could literally just put 15 drops across the board of the tea tree, the eucalyptus, and the thyme, and you can add maybe 5 to 6 drops of lemon essential oil. Otherwise, it's going to have a nice, what I call, woodsy, minty smell from the use of the other oils. Now, what do you add to that? If you are making a floor wash, the only thing you need to add is 1/4 to 1/2 cup of liquid Castile soap. And I know I'm not going to name that brand because I use it, but it's a very famous brand. Folks, you don't have to use real expensive liquid Castile soap. A lot of the essential oil sites, again, and I've given you sites on the handout, they sell liquid Castile oil, and sometimes you can get it on sale and you can get it at a better price than the brand I'm not going to mention because it's the one that everyone knows. But that's all you need is for the liquid Castile. soap. You just need the liquid Castile soap with the same oils with the water. Now, the surface cleanser is 1 cup of white vinegar. I have one caveat to that also. If you have granite countertops or granite backsplash, do not use white vinegar, because what will happen, you'll get something what we call pitching and etching, and it will discolor and eat into the granite. So what do? All you have to do is simply use your oils, and you use the water, and you use the Castile soap. Omit the vinegar if you're cleaning granite countertops or backsplash, as I said. So that's basically it. That's also on the handout. The next area I'd like to talk about, and this is just a sentence. Folks, it's hard enough to keep your hands out of your face, I know, but I know what you're not going to do. You are not going to not grab your cell phone or your cordless phone. So I'm telling everyone, please wipe down your phones, okay? Wipe down your cell phones, wipe down your cordless phones, please. Because there are a lot of germs on there, and people are you use that phone all the time. Now, what do you use? You use the same solution that you do for your hand sanitizer, with one exception. If you don't want to use your same hand sanitizer, because you don't care if your phone smells like, lemon or peppermint or whatever, you can just simply you can make another solution, and again, just use the distilled water and the alcohol, but wipe your phones down. Now, the last thing I'm going to touch on here, and I know this is controversial, but I'm going to be one of the ones that say this. Wearing masks. Those masks that have flown off of out of the hardware stores, Walmart, the face mask. Folks, those really aren't helpful, and they're almost useless, with the exception of if you have the flu already, if you have a cold, you don't want to spread your germs to someone else. But what most of you have not paid attention to, or maybe you don't know, those masks are made for these really large spores. The spores with this virus and other viruses, they're very, very tiny. So you're not having any protection by wearing a mask. Matter of fact, I saw this morning, Harbor Freight in our area is donating all their nitrile gloves and all their masks to our 2 local hospitals. Why? There are no masks, and the hospital workers and doctors can't get access to face masks. So folks, I'm just asking everyone, please leave the face mask for the doctors and the healthcare workers. And my last comment on that is, the vast majority of us, we are not at risk of dying. We are not very elderly. We are not chronically ill, and your immune system isn't compromised. Now, if it is, then there's the exception. But the vast majority of us don't have all of this. We're not real chronically ill. My system and your system probably isn't really, really depressed or compromised. So you don't need the mask, okay? That's what I wanted to say about that. I have one last area, and this is really near and dear to me. And I'm going to make this statement first. I know I may be putting myself at risk, but most of you who know me know I speak what's on my heart, my mind, and I will take a risk. This area, the area of the spiritual terrain, how you're dealing with yourself internally, that is the most important thing to me. I don't care how much you wash your hands, wipe your phone down. You can take all the supplements that I've recommended and then some. You can have the most expensive. It won't mean a whit if you are carrying around negative thoughts, if you are depressing your immune system with the anxiety, with the panic and everything else, because you cannot fool your body. Your body believes every word you say, whether it's internally or verbally. So I'm really concerned with this area, and that's what I told Steve. I would do this program, but I really wanted to address this area. We know, and we have to recognize, we're now living in what? A pandemic situation and an environment. The negative energy and even our own thoughts have escalated. You're around people with fear. I'm going to give you, and this is my belief, whether you agree with it or not, this is Reverend Dr. Dar here. When it comes to fear, there's only one upside. There's only one positive aspect to me for fear. It does make people more cautious. It makes us more aware and alert. That's the only thing fear can do for me. And I don't live in that camp. And I would advise that all of us move into another atmosphere. And that is one of love. That is one of self-care. That is one of compassion. Now, while the media is trying to inform everyone with the latest information on the virus, it is contributing to mass hysteria and panic. We have to learn to cultivate an environment of care and compassion, but you have to do this first with yourself. So I'm asking people, you can be strong, but be gentle with yourself during these times. Now, having a religious or a spiritual practice that keeps you calm and strong in your faith is extremely helpful. It's really almost required at this time. And I have found, so if you don't have some type of meditative practice or a mindfulness practice, there are a myriad of free resources online and books, ebooks that are online, because our libraries are closed, at least in my city, they've closed our library, and they've probably done that where you live too. Steve also has put, we have some resources for where you can find, even whether you're a novice or a beginner, or even if you're advanced, help someone with this. If they don't have a mindfulness practice, a nice visualization where the imagery is very calm for them, help people with these resources that we're giving you. Now, there's what I call a phenomenon, because I didn't hear this too much, but now it's an everyday occurrence. The words that are being thrown around, social distancing. Now, our gatherings have been limited. Churches have been closed. You can't gather with people, and I'm not going to say anything about how we started with 3 feet and went to 6. Well, what happened? Why couldn't it have been 7? Why was it 5? Why 6? Doesn't matter. What has happened is our gatherings are being controlled, limited, and just nullified. So what? What do you do in the light of this? When someone hands you, and people know me again, when you hand me lemons, I'm going to try to find a way to make lemonade out of it. This is one time I do want to put some sugar in it, okay? And add something to it. But what can you do? You can still have online prayer. You can have a group meditation, whether it's with your family or with friends. Each of us has to dig deep at this time. Even having a daily prayer partner to start your morning with or start your day with really impacts on how you move through your day and what kind of day you have. What you give yourself, unless you give it to yourself first, you're not going to be able to give that to someone else. That calmness, that peacefulness, even what you can get through. When I said mindfulness, breathing, there is a friend of mine, and who's that, Kathleen Booker, the Jedi of Calm. She has wonderful breathing exercises. What do? You have to breathe deep. But all of this helps your inner terrain to be strong, and that strengthens your immune system. Now, the more kindness you can promote, the more kindness you can exude, the more compassion you can show to yourself, you allow that to flow to someone else. And that goes a very, very long way, folks, in allowing your light to shine during these very trying times. Now, behaving and moving in a calm, peaceful manner does require an inner strength. And that comes from knowing that you are protected. You're protected in your love by a source, a consciousness that's well beyond your own. I don't care what you call it, what name you give it. I'm not here to be a separator based on your religion or your spiritual practice. But what I'm saying is you gotta dig deep, and you have to have a connection to that divinity within you, to that source that's within you. That knowingness that you do belong to something greater, and that something greater resides in you and exudes through you. That's what I call a knowingness. I don't have spiritual beliefs, folks. I may have a few. I have a knowingness that I have this protection, a knowingness that there's something that resides in me that will move me through these times and allow me to be more humane, to allow me to cultivate more calmness, more gentleness with myself and with others. Knowing who you are and knowing whose you are allows you to manage your own emotions, allows you to manage your behavior. But that's what it comes from, folks. It comes from knowing who you are and whose you are. Once you do that, you can be the hero in your family, the heroine, not just your family, maybe your community. And ultimately, it allows you to do the things that I'm now seeing, those acts of kindness, those acts that come out of that beauty of that knowingness that's deep within you, that divine presence that we are all connected to. So during this time, let's dig deep. Let's act with more compassion and gentleness, first towards yourself and then toward others, so that the end of any given day, you may experience that peace that passes all understanding. And you might also get a good night's sleep. So let's all stand in our divine power, that power of grace and mercy, so that we replace the fear. As we say, each one teach one. Replace the fear, replace the panic with a greater love and peace that we can all offer each other. We can give this to the world, and we all share in that positive upliftment. So one final note: fear lowers your immunity, and it can and will, in the long run, depress your immune system. But love strengthens you, your heart, your body, your mind, and your soul. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to do another little plug, Heart Math. They will teach there is a brain in the heart, and they're in their breathing, trying to teach the resonance of the heart going through the heart, so that you find appreciation and gratitude for yourself and for your loved ones. And when you can do that, that is a give back. That is what you share. That's what you give to the world. That is your offering. That is your pay it forward. Okay? And we all need to do that. So I want people to still be and live in gratitude, even in these times. I want you to feel and have that compassion and laugh. You have to have humor. The most brilliant people can do the stupidest things when there's panic and anxiety and fear. And I'm one of them too. So guess what? I can laugh at myself. But by doing that, You know, laughter really, really uplifts the spirit, and laughter uplifts the next person. So laugh with someone, but definitely laugh at yourself and keep it light so your light will shine. Learn to surrender and trust. You don't have responsibility or even the capability of managing any one system but your own. One exception. Now, if you have little children and babies, yes, I'm talking about adults. You can't manage anything other than yourself. You cannot control all of hysteria. You can control yours. You can control your anxiety level and your panic level with some of the suggestions that Steve is going to show you, the demonstrations with some things that we've already talked about. But what I'm saying is surrender and trust. Take a lot more deep breaths. Tune into your heart. And by all means, trust what you're going to be given. Trust that inner guidance so that you can move and stay in the divine grace that's afforded to all of us. Thank you. And thank you for listening. Thank you for allowing me to share just the little that I have for each of you. And I simply want to close my section, and I'm going to turn it back over to Steve. And I just like to say namaste.
Thank you, AdaRA. Just an amazing sharing of wonderful information. So we have almost 50 people on our call. So here's what I'm going to suggest, since we have so many people on the call. If you have a question for Reverend AdaRA, go ahead and email her. AdaRA, what email address would you like people to send their questions to you? What would you like them to use?
Yeah, people can send questions to, it's and this is my email address there. It is all lowercase. It is Rev, short for Reverend, R as in Robert, E, V as in Victor. My first name, AdaRA, A, D as in deer, A, R as in Robert, A. Rev AdaRA at Spirit is my life, life.com. Rev AdaRA at spiritismylife.com. And my website is the same. It is actually www.spiritismylife. And so that's what you can use for the website. And for questions, that's my email address.
Spiritismylife.com is the website. And you can also reach her through the website as well as the address that she just has shared with all of us.
All I can say, Steve, is for no questions, I must have done.
Well,
they either liked it or they hated it.
the challenge here is we may have questions, but because of what I'm seeing on the control panel here with Zoom, it may not be very clear that we have them. That's why I'm inviting everyone to email you with your questions, and you can also, of course, email me and I'll pass them on if you would like to do that. My email is cartermethod@gmail.com. So there's a couple of stress reduction techniques that I'm going to go over, and then I'm going to give you some references. Well, we also want to do a distant healing for those who are being affected by this coronavirus, have been affected by it, or will be affected by it. So it's vital that you engage in self-regulation, self-care for your emotional well-being. When we are highly stressed, we are highly stupid. Our ability to think logically, to respond in a calm, relaxed way, to bring online our creativity and our best thinking. When we're under huge stress, especially ongoing chronic stress, that is a very challenging thing to do. It also, as Reverend AdaRA mentioned, it also suppresses or reduces the immune system and also the healing system of the body. Quite a number of studies have established that beyond any question. I'm going to share a resource that I hope that you will visit, and I'll share that in a moment. But I want to go over 2 techniques that you can apply. Very simple. One is the frontal occipital hold. Very easy to do. You simply place one hand on the forehead and the other hand in the back, in the occipital area of the back of the brain. Now, if you have shoulder problems and you can't reach the back, then just go ahead and hold the front. You can also do this very easily when you are laying down. And you simply breathe. Breathe diaphragmatically, a slow in-breath of about 4 to 5 count, 4 to 5 seconds, and a slow out-breath of 4 to 5 seconds. And that is balanced breathing. You're balancing the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous systems within the autonomic nervous system. And that is a very simple, balanced breathing. If you're noticing you're highly stressed, what I would suggest is having the out-breath longer than the in-breath. When we breathe out, we are activating the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the relaxation response side of the autonomic nervous system. So if you're really agitated, highly stressed, and you're using the occipital frontal hold, breathe in for 4 or 5 seconds and then breathe out for, say, 8 or 9 seconds. And allow that breath. Don't take a breath, allow a breath. Allow the in-breath, allow the out-breath. And do that in a soft, relaxed way. There's no hurry. You're not going to do this wrong. No worries about, am I doing it right? You are doing it right. So a second technique, and by the way, these are all available to you in PDF in the documents that I had shared with you to download. If you did not get the notification or you had trouble downloading the documents, email me at cartermethod@gmail.com and I will send you those documents directly. So a second way to create a relaxation response within the body is to apply various tapping methods. The most well-known of those is emotional freedom techniques, or EFT, and that came out of something called thought field therapy. The challenge with EFT is that it requires the memorization of a number of different tapping points corresponding to energy points on the body. So a very simple way to get the same benefits is to use bilateral tapping and a butterfly hug. And there's 3 ways to do butterfly hug. And the easiest way is simply to take the right hand, place it on the left bicep, left hand, right bicep. and you'll be tapping. But before you do that, you start in the heart area. So you take the hands, right over left, left over right, it doesn't matter. Connect to your heart, and then simply breathe in, allow 3 loving in breaths and out breaths. And then say, I choose to release all this stress or whatever the issue is that's bothering you. This is an affirmation. I choose to release. And it sets the brain intention. Your brain recognizes you are making a choice to let go of whatever is bothering you in the body, whatever stress you're experiencing from whatever source. So you simply bring your hands to your heart, 3 in breaths, loving in breaths, heart breathing into the heart and out. And then take your hands and simply slide them over to the biceps, and then bilaterally, alternatively, tap all this stress. All this stress I choose to release and let it go. All this stress. Be mindful of the felt sense of the tapping. All this stress I choose to release and let it go. It's safe to let it go. I choose to let it all go. Stop. Come back to your heart. 3 loving, comfortable breaths. And I would end with a yawn, sigh, stretch. This is very calming in and of itself. Yawn, sigh, stretch, even if you do not feel like you need to do that. Do it anyway. So those are tools, 2 very simple, what are called energy psychology methods, tools you can apply to self-regulate, to get yourself back in an even, balanced emotional state. Now, you can start out, and the instructions that I have in the handout, if I recall correctly, I do suggest you get a starting what's called a SUDS level, subjective unit of distress, 0 to 10, how stressed am I? If you're 0, there's no stress, and if you're 10, you are absolutely in as much stress as you could possibly imagine. Most of the time, we're somewhere in the middle. So get a starting SUDS level. How stressed am I? And this is subjective. It's just rough. You don't have to have the exact number. Your subconscious will serve up exactly the number that is most appropriate in that moment. So let's say you're a 6, okay? The subconscious brings to mind, yes, I'm a 6, and it can show you in an image. You may hear the voice in your head say you're at a 6, or you just may know that and then apply the bilateral tapping, the butterfly hug. Now, there's an alternative way to do this where you take the right hand and place it under the arm, in the spleen points here, and then you can bilaterally tap there. And there's a third way that you can just bring your hands together like this, turn them upside down, and you tap right here. The easiest one to remember, and the one that I find is most easily remembered by clients, is simply heart, slide over, tap, back to heart, and then release. Speaking of heart, let me bring up a surrogate image that I would like for us to use, and bear with me here. Place hands to heart, allow your awareness to focus in on the image and allow the image to represent all of the people across the globe who are dealing with this infection, those who have transitioned as a result of it, and those who may be affected in the future. We're going to send distant healing, which is nothing more than love, the intent to heal. Those of you who are Reiki practitioners or other energy practitioners, use whatever method you want. Bring the energy from the heart through the palms into the surrogate, or for those of you who are not familiar with those methods, simply connect to your heart and allow that image to literally meld into your heart. And breathe in and say, I choose to send distant healing and healing energy. I choose to send love and energy healing to all of those who are affected by this virus. And we'll just stay with that for about 15 or 20 seconds. I invite you to do that now. And one final loving in-breath, sending energy through the surrogate to all those who are affected by this contagion, by this virus. You may choose to give thanks for being allowed to give only the love and the healing energy that only you can give. And thank you for those who have chosen to participate. One other final resource that I will share here, and I will then turn the floor back over to Reverend AdaRA. Okay, you should see a one-page PDF called Self-Care Resources. And for those on the phone, again, all of these documents are available in the link that I shared with everyone, or you can email me, cartermethod@gmail.com. This is a one-page information source for you to check in with official resources as to what is going on with the virus, with additional reported cases, with recommendations from our federal government and from the World Health Organization. You have these links all in one place. And for those who are interested in alternative, complementary, integrative health, the National Institutes of Health has created the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health. They are very conservative as far as what they will acknowledge for the effectiveness of various complementary and alternative methods. But if you would like to research any one particular technique or method, that is one place you can go to get, again, the official government recommendations or lack thereof for a given technique. I've also included several books here, 3 or 4. Herbert Benson is a medical doctor, and he wrote a best-selling book in 1975 called The Relaxation Response. It was a huge hit, a lot of interest in it in mainstream America at the time. He later wrote Beyond the Relaxation Response, and then Timeless Healing, The Power of Biology of Belief. Here's an interesting quote. Dr. Herbert Benson draws on his 25 years as a physician and researcher to reveal how affirming beliefs, particularly belief in a higher power, make an important contribution to our physical health. Dr. Benson's approach is based on something called mantra meditation or sound. He originally researched transcendental meditation practitioners, and then he created his own version of it. The meditation method that is most popular these days is mindfulness. The author or the power of that method spread is from John Kabat-Zinn, and there's a mistake in that. I've got J-O-H. It's actually J-O-N Kabat-Zinn. And he has created mindfulness-based stress reduction, or MBSR. That is the system du jour. All of the magazines, not all, but the vast majority of magazines and so forth are all about mindfulness. Mindfulness can be as simple as being present, following the breath, attending to the breath, allowing yourself to be in this moment, right here and right now. And finally, 7 Minutes to Natural Pain Release is a book that was created by a psychiatrist from Canada named Dan Benor or Benner. Dan uses a butterfly hug and other bilateral tapping protocols. It's a very good book. It's probably 7, 8 years old now, but the content is excellent. And there's also a couple of resources on the web here as well. This is by no means exhaustive. There are literally thousands and thousands of meditation resources. There are an array of different apps in the App Store, whether you're on Android or whether you're on iPhone or iPad. Find something that resonates with you. There are other methods, Qigong, yoga. Find something that works for you and make it part of your daily scheduled practice. Even if it's just 5 minutes a day spread throughout the day, it is always beneficial to do that. So with that, I'm going to turn this back over. AdaRA, hold on, bear with me here. AdaRA, go ahead, and if you would close us out with a prayer. And I want to thank everyone who chose to participate. We had almost 50 people on the call. I had no idea we would have this large a group. Depending on the tech gremlins, we will have this presented on YouTube. I will look at that later this week. So hopefully we will have this as a permanent resource for you to refer to ongoing. With that, AdaRA, let me turn it back over to you.
Okay, in closing, I would really like to thank Steve for making this available to all of us, for his willingness and even for his heart, because everyone is trying to do their part to uplift everything. So I want to personally thank Steve for requesting me to jointly bring this program to you. And with that being said, as we close out, I'd like everyone to put their hands at their heart. And I'd like you to take a deep breath. And when I say deep, take it from below your navel. Bring that breath up slowly and exhale. Take a second deep breath, please. Bring it up and allow it to flow out gently and easily. And allow your third breath to come up and ever so gently allow it to flow and release. And in this release, we now call upon whatever name you use for the Most High. Prime Source, God, Yeshua, Jesus, Obatala, Almighty I Am Presence, the universe, God, Goddess, Elohim, whatever your word is. Contact that divine presence right now. And in this holy, sacred moment, we simply ask that we be surrounded, the world, our planet, with the light, the highest love, and allow it to simply flow to our planet, to our world, to all children, families, animals, everything that was created. We ask that this light and this love hold us, shield us, and allow us to know the purpose for which we are here, and even the purpose for this virus that is bringing so many of us together in service, in love. We ask that this presence open our hearts and expand us, deepen our connection to Source, deepen our connection to Gaia, Mother Earth, our planet, deepen our connection one to another. And in this sacredness, we simply ask and know that more love, and that there is nothing but love and light that will connect us and heal us all in our planet. For this light and for this love, together, we all say, Namaste. Thank you, and Amen. Slowly take your hands down and go in peace.
Thank you, AdaRA. Thank you. And thank you to each of you who participated in this. I know we've gone a little long, so I do appreciate it. So many of us have stayed for the entire segment of this or the entire presentation. Thank you. Blessings to all, and namaste.